Con.
Take a quick look at the SC Project exhaust system for my Yamaha XSR900. I have it spread out on this workbench in pieces, but in the order that it goes into the bike. So we'll go over each of these pieces, starting at the rear of the motorcycle. You have the silencer, I believe a stainless steel construction, and it has a ceramic black paint applied to this version for extra cost. I thought it was worth it because I like the way the black exhaust looks on the XSR. It has a removable dB killer or baffle unit, which I've already taken out, and just to show you what it looks like and how it's constructed. The way this is mounted into the tube is with this 5mm Allen screw, which you can access through a hole in the carbon fiber right here. We have the mounting point here. On the new unit, we only have one bolt. That's the way it's mounted. Then it goes to an adapter here, which downsizes the diameter just a little bit. Then to this 3-to-1 with a compression fitting collar that secures this to this. There is a spring which holds the downsizing piece to the silencer piece, whereas this one is held by a clamp. In the 1-to-3 converter is where you have the fitting for the oxygen sensor to go. You also have fittings for springs here and on the other side here. Those are so that the connector pipes here, of which there are 3, can fit into these little sleeve joints and then be secured in place with these springs. The exhaust coming from the engine comes out here, follows down through this, goes through this 3-to-1, and then out through the tail. So yeah, that's the basic assembly of this thing. I'm going to partially assemble the exhaust system for demonstration purposes and also to see how much it weighs. These are arranged in the order that they go on the motorcycle from left to right. In the instruction sheet, it tells you to put the longest one here on the far or left side of the motorcycle, the shortest one in the middle, and the medium length one on the right side of the motorcycle. Before I remove the exhaust system from the XSR900, I'm first going to disconnect and remove the oxygen sensor from the exhaust system. It's located on the right side of the motorcycle. It's got a couple of wires inside of a protective sheath that wrap around under the engine case and then connect to the rest of the bike at this point here. It's very difficult to get this connector freed because the tab that you need to release to separate this from this is in the back. So what I'm going to do is unscrew these engine case cover bolts, pull those out, and get this whole bracket free. So I'm going to start by taking the wire that's pressed into this little pressure clip here and just spreading the little clip apart so that that wire is free now, working it out from around the tab on the side of the foot peg mounting point, and now this wire is free. And to get this free, I'm going to unscrew those engine case bolts. It is a 5mm Allen bolt, so I'm going to just use a socket. You could use an Allen key or whatever you have handy. Once you get those loose, they're pretty easy to unscrew. I've got one out, the other out. Okay, so you see how it's freed now. You can get a look at the point you need to work with to free this guy here. The body of the connector has a nub that sticks out towards the camera, and this little tab that you see here that I'm kind of pushing down on with my finger is from the upper part of the connector, and you need to lift that out towards the camera so that the nub of the bottom part of the connector is free, and then you can pull this out. So you can see why this is difficult to get to while it's in the bike. It just takes a flathead screwdriver or anything like that, and you get it up under this and you lift that part up. So you see when that gets lifted up, it frees the bottom part of the connector, and then you're able to get that free. Now that the oxygen sensor is free, we can unscrew it from the exhaust system. It is a 22 millimeter fitting here, which is pretty standard for oxygen sensors. So you can go on Amazon and you can buy a tool like this for $10 or $15. But you could use something like a regular box end wrench on this if you're careful. Or if you're desperate, you could try using a crescent wrench or adjustable wrench, but I would be very careful about that. So I want to be careful with this not to scratch the engine case, which is powder coated black. So I'll get that on there really good and then start cranking. And yeah, see, it's not on there too bad. So you want to be really careful with this oxygen sensor as you're working with it. It is about a $200 part from Yamaha. The sensor element here needs to be kept clean. The exhaust is bolted to the cylinder head on the forward end of the bike, directly beneath the radiator. Each of the 3 exhaust pipe headers is mounted to studs coming from the cylinder head, 2 on each pipe. Those are held in place by 12 millimeter nuts. Also, because you have to get in between pipes here, you're gonna need an extension. On an older bike, this can be a little bit of a scary operation. That's not too bad. I'm gonna do a little bit at a time on each side just to work that seal free evenly. So you can see that bolt in there, we're gonna have to extract, and there's a similar one on the other side of the bike. So you got 2 of these to remove. That's a 12 millimeter bolt, and it's recessed back behind the foot peg bracket. And you can see here I have an aftermarket Woodcraft rear set, which leaves an opening to access that bolt pretty easily. The same would be true for the stock Yamaha foot peg setup. We just gotta get in there with an extension and a 12 millimeter socket. Okay, there it is. So the exhaust is pretty much loose and ready to fall off the bike. You wouldn't want to ride it in this condition, obviously. So let's try to get this thing free. Okay, it's free. Here's a look at the OEM XSR900 exhaust next to the new aftermarket SC Project exhaust. The OEM unit is significantly heavier. It's a lot more sturdily built. All the metals seem to be thicker. This thing is thick and solid.
It's so thick!
It's all one piece. All the joints are welded. It's a very nicely made piece, very strong. The aftermarket unit is a lot more simple. The metals in general look a lot thinner. The silencer unit is fairly solid. I think it's got a fiberglass deadening material in it. So that's the heaviest part of the aftermarket system. The pipes that run up to the cylinder head are extremely thin, as you can see here. So these things weigh almost nothing. Next, we'll weigh them. Okay, so I'm coming up with 18.9 pounds. 7.8 pounds. That's without the hardware. So we'll drop all this stuff in here at once and get a weight. Okay, just under a pound. 0.92 pounds. I'll just hang it by its end here. Okay, and that's about 0.7 pounds for the DB Killer baffle job.